So I just finished watching Buggy's first arc. It was essentially the space in between him getting blasted off by Luffy and returning to his pirate crew with Alvida. It made me wonder, why does he even have his own mini arc? Buggy is not a particularly interesting or important character to the story. He is very funny and he is generally made for comic relief, but why is he given his own arc? He doesn't present a particular important thematic purpose. He's not a very integral part of the plot, so why is it exactly that he has so much space within One Piece? He was on the Pirate King's crew, which is very interesting. He accidentally became a warlord and then a Yonko, and he somehow became the de facto leader of Cross Guild. But who exactly is Buggy narratively? One of the things that One Piece seems to be very clear about with Buggy is that he represents luck. Can you get far, and how far can you get on luck alone? He was on the pirate crew of the King of the Pirates, if for no other reason than just sheer luck. He knows a lot of very influential people within the One Piece universe by sheer luck. He was a very weak pirate and he became somewhat stronger by sheer luck, but he never really had any fame outside of the East Blue. And then when he went to the Grand Line, he somehow became a legendary figure, making himself a lot bigger than he actually was, which was also physically supported by his use of his own devil fruit that allows him to move his body parts independently and away from one another. And when I think about who he is and how he's come so far, even declaring to his guild and to the world essentially that he wants to claim the One Piece himself, One Piece seems to be painting a picture of somebody who can get by just luck alone. He does and has declared that he wants to be the king of the pirates. He wants to find the One Piece for himself. But even though he's somewhat sympathetic because of how pathetic he actually is, it does paint the picture of how far can somebody get with just their feelings. How far can a character get just by wanting something enough? Now, the key difference between him and perhaps his counterpart, which is Red Hair Shanks and even Luffy, is that while the Red Hair Pirates and the Straw Hat Pirates got by and achieved greatness through fighting hard, trying to become the best, working to defeat the people in their way, be they rivals or villains, and steadily getting stronger and stronger. Buggy has done basically none of that. He hasn't improved himself in any significant way. Physically, he has not created a team that is significantly better. His crew is essentially still as weak as it's always been, and he hasn't improved himself in his abilities as a pirate, his fighting skills, his know-how. He just seems to luck into every single one of his opportunities, and it's only his cunning that allows him to take advantage of the opportunities presented to him, or change the narrative enough as if he's some kind of political spokesperson. Buggy seems to be just spin alone. So it seems like One Piece is very clearly trying to create a kind of reflection of Luffy's drive in Buggy, and that he's somebody who's made it far just by luck alone. He hasn't tried, he hasn't worked at it. He just seems to just take advantage of mistakes that other people have made and narratives that other people have created in order to create this vision of himself that's not actually true. So I wonder if and how close can Buggy get to the actual One Piece without getting it? I don't think the One Piece saga would hand the One Piece to a character that has done so little to improve himself or get better or stronger. He just has his will alone, but he's gotten incredibly close to the One Piece. In fact, he's probably closer than 90 9% of the other characters on the show to achieving King of the Pirates status, which is scary. But it also lends itself to our real world. A lot of people in our real world have achieved greatness through faking it, through pretending to be great, by capitalizing on the opportunities that have presented themselves or the mistakes of others in order to get in positions that are of greatness and of power, but they aren't people who are worthy of keeping it. In fact, Buggy hasn't even really made any moral adjustments to his persona. He just seems to want the One Piece. He's still the same character who is violent, who would capture town, who would steal, who would have killed Luffy if he could, and is a general terror. But in his current standing within the world, he seems to be trying to protect himself by creating an image of himself that isn't real. So there's a lot of different factors that go into who Buggy is as a character. And the question is now, how far will it actually go? Where will Oda take his character? Will he make it to Laugh Tale? And how close will he get to actually grasping the One Piece? It's a very interesting story, and a one that we should all be along to find out.